Don't even
Oh
think
my
about it.
gosh! Why am I seeing? Shit.
大丈夫ですよ. See, you're lucky. You get to be in the video. I'm over here in the corner. They're just going to hear this beautiful koi and they're not going to know who it is.
But I'm like the worst person in fact class. They don't know anything.
You're lowering expectations.
なんだろう?
So Terada said stop coming.
That's a.
どうして?
Because I'm too rude. No, because like before if she
Did
comes.
you ask in Japanese?
Yeah, because if she come before the grade come out, it will be like it will be possible to be
yeah.
So she
teachers are weird about that.
yeah.
Right, well, they don't want to get fired. I don't blame them.
They get like do outside stuff while they're still teachers. 何がいい?
There's one more in there.
僕のせいじゃないですよ。
So there's your structured writing from Friday. I don't really have any comments about it. The written style was perhaps a little hard because we've only just started using that. But, basically it's direct style, right? It's direct style, but with a few special features like dearu instead of da. And there weren't a lot of the other features of written style that were actually quizzed on that structured writing. Does anybody have any questions about it?
So is it like the dearu has like some specific like where you're going to use it? Like why I say like azumate iru rashi dearu and you like.
Because rashi is an adjectival.
Yeah. Oh, so I don't need the copula after.
Right. It's just like you would put suzushi in direct style, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't put a copula after.
So dearu only like follow the nominal then.
Yes. Yeah. So the same rules as da
Okay.
in direct style.
Okay.
And then, but generally, I think you guys figured it out okay. Was there anything else anybody wanted to ask about?
Does a dearu in spoken style have like a connotation of being like old?
You don't really say it. It's not really a feature of spoken style. So it's just not said. The reason that it exists, I think, there was a big hubbub about choosing how to create, written style in Japanese when the language is being modernized. But if you think about it, des has a certain element of politeness, right? It indexes, like, the fact that you're being polite to the person you're speaking to. And then da also has implications for the social relationship of who you're speaking to, right? It implies that kind of intimacy because it doesn't have the politeness of des. So the reason dearu exists is to be a neutral copula. Like a copula that is completely suitable for writing because it doesn't specifically imply you're a person who I'm putting social distance between, or you're a person who I'm putting no social distance between, who I'm very intimate with. So dearu is like, for that reason, neutral. And that's the same reason that you don't say it just in speech. Very much. It might happen sometimes. Good questions. Okay, so, as you guys know today, our mission is to finish the fact review. And I've put a review sheet for you guys online. It's on Carmen. It looks like this. So it breaks down the sections of the final, which, is pretty good. Let's see. So, let's see, where do we start? So first off, does anybody have any questions about the content that is going to be appearing on the final? It's 22A to 24B. So, did anybody want to start out with anything? Any issues that anybody's been nagged about?
Since we didn't do an extended writing for 21B, will there be an extended writing that is similar to the structured writing we did in the final?
extended writing that is similar to the
Well, like,
structured
so
writing?
you know how our extended writings are normally based off of the structured writings we've done?
Do you mean that they're based on the reading selection in the book?
Well, like, if we have like a couple of sentences that are disconnected in the structured writing, they'll be connected in the extended writing as something like a full.
Are you asking if we're gonna make use of
Is
this?
there an extended writing in the, is there a time would be extended in the final?
I don't know, I mean, it's gonna follow the normal format,
Okay.
so I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Anybody?
It's probably gonna be like all the
Is it gonna
grammar
cover
patterns rather
everything,
than
all the
just
kanji that we
like-
learned and all of the different grammatical patterns even from the ones from last week?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It's gonna
there.
be
It says,
like.
it says do forget to pay attention.
Wait, what?
Do
You?
forget.
I'll do forget to pay attention.
Wait, where?
Right there,
last line on the
ditto,
bottom,
it says
second from the
ditto,
bottom.
do forget to pay attention.
One up,
Ah,
and then all the way below.
Well,
Please forget
if
it.
you guys can consciously choose to pay attention to that, yeah, that's clearly a mistake. Yeah, I'm trying to put this together rather quickly. Well, anyway, let's talk about it. So this is what your final looks like. There's 4 sections. The first part is a very brief sort of multiple choice section. So you know how I feel about multiple choice. I think it's too easy. So that's pretty short. Then there's a part that's kind of like conversion, where I give you a word and I give you a grammar form, and I make you fill that into a sentence, and then translate the result of that sentence. So we'll do some practice with those in a minute. And then of course we had all these tewa and temos, right? And plus the negatives, right? So we had tewa and nakutewa. We had temo and nakutemo. So there's a whole section differentiating the 4 different usages of that, right? So that's important. Generally that's done as translation, where I give you the English prompt, and you got to figure out which of those tewa or temo is needed to get the correct Japanese. And then, of course, there's just a general translation thing where I triggered all the grammar points in the usual ways. So, Shazam?
So actually, like said, like like you said, like we have some questions. So I'm like thinking the thing that the soul, still the soul and mitai question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say like you can say dekita soul ですね。dekita soul, dekita mitai ですね。And you can say deki soul.
Yeah.
So like in mitai and yo, you can have a imperfected before it, but like have a perfected in front of it. But if you have a soul, you can already defer like the tense, like what you're soulling.
Mm-hmm. Referring that soul like ame ga furi soul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always going to refer to the future.
So it's like the stem source thing is always like the future thing?
Well, yes, if it's like with a verbal like ame ga furi soul or deki soul or wakari soul or something, right? But if it's a state like, it could be present, right? Ame hito wa kanashi sou desu ne.
Okay.
Or something oishi sou desu ne, like describing how it is currently. But yeah, you can't put a perfective before it. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so this first section with the multiple choice, all of it comes from the section we're just talking about here. So, rashi, yo, and mitai. So we need to talk about the salient differences between these. And this handout is basically where you'll find the answers to that, right? So please do study this. You know, I took a lot of time to put it together, so I would appreciate it if you guys would utilize this. But why don't we just kind of go over the basics? For example, what about the difference between yo and mitai? If we were to start with that, what is the important differences that we've discussed between yo and mitai?
yo is more formal than mitai.
So more formal in the sense that where does it occur?
In like a business setting and stuff.
Okay, what about linguistically? Like what kind of context are we talking about?
Oh, like you have more, like it's more feels than just looking.
What I'm looking for here is the fact that mitai does not appear where?
writing.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. Mitai does not appear in written structures, but yo can appear in both. So that's one important difference, right? So mitai only speech, yo both. And then we have certain structures that are specific to yo, right? Like we talked about tabako yameru yo ni shitemasu. Kyou kuru you ni itte kudasai. Those like set phrases for ask him to do something or I'm trying to do something, etc. Those are only yo, right? Never mitai. What about certainty? More certain versus less certain. That's something I might ask you about. Which forms were given contrast between more certain and less certain? San-san?
Soulness was the most certain.
Which soulness are you talking about?
It appears to be soulness, apparently.
Are you talking about like which
Like
soul,
when you-
like
when
when
you-
I look at it?
Yeah, when you like direct evidence in front of you, then like the soulness would be the most certain, and the mitai was just a little less certain than that.
I think what you're thinking of is the soulness of hearsay.
Okay.
So if we look at the chart here, right? So this soul for hearsay is we're passing along info directly. That's what we were talking about last time,
Yeah.
right? So this is the one that's the most objective and neutral. Like I don't really have any connection to this information personally. But in terms of contrasting more certain versus less certain, the two I really want you to pay attention to are Rashi and Mitai/Yo. These are the two where there's a definite contrast between the certainty, right? So Rashi is pretty certain, right? There's little room for doubt, and a high degree of certainty. You've got the information from a reliable source, and the speakers showing their own connection to the information. But Mitai and Yo are less certain. So you'll see me prompt this on the translations with things like, I can't say for sure, but I feel like, da, 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 da. And so based on my personal observation, subjective judgment, this is what I'm thinking. So it's a less certain Mitai, more certain Rashi.
In instances where Rashi can't apply to somebody, as like we did in the facts
Uh-huh.
review today, like if a Japanese person is acting Chinese, you can't say that they're Chikokuchi Rashi, you have to say Mitai.
Right.
Would adding a sodes, I guess that would work.
So that's a different usage that we're talking
Okay.
about. That usage is the usage of comparison.
So it doesn't have the same strength.
Well,
In that sense?
it doesn't apply because this is about relating information or talking about it seems like or apparently. But what you're talking about is like, Tanaka-san wa Nihonjin rashiku nai desu ne. He's not very Japanese, right? Or, Embry-san wa Nihonjin mitai desu ne, right? So those usages are comparing things, right? He's like a Japanese person, or Tanaka-san's not very like a Japanese person. These, when we're talking about more certain, less certain, this is more about like, apparently that apartment's been taken, right? Conveying that information, right? It seems like a new person has moved in, that kind of stuff, based on some vague type of evidence. Okay, good question. Let's see. Okay, so then, more certain versus less certain. I really want you to think about Mitai Yo versus Rashi. Then, which implies neutrality on the part of the speaker, which implies personal involvement. I kind of just mentioned this a second ago. Teraza-san?
The soulness is the one that is neutral.
Right, so the soul of like hearsay,
Yeah.
the soul that's neutral, you're right, objective. And then personal involvement?
Die.
Yeah, to an extent, all of them.
Yeah.
But specifically, I want to contrast Rashi and soul. Because like, if we look at the CCs that you guys had, I'll put them on here a little bit. The CCs in 24B about そのパーソンが他の人に決まったらしいです, right? That could have been, 他の人に決まったそうです. And the meaning would be essentially the same. Apparently, I hear that the apartment's been decided on somebody else. But with soul, it's like objective, neutral, just passing along the information. But with Rashi, it's more like I care about it. I'm personally involved. So that's another thing I want you guys to think about. I know this is hard because we've only just done this, right? And we're still getting used to it. But if you kind of keep these guidelines in mind, I think you'll get there. And then when something's right in front of you, Arubato-san, which one do you use?
The soul for seeing, not for your side.
Yeah, give me an example.
Oishiso.
Oishiso, right. Not oishii soul, but oishiso. Indeed. All right, we talked about the difference between speech and writing, other restrictions on usage. I'm not referring to anything specifically there, but make sure that you guys can recognize and produce this difference, right? Kaware soda versus kawareru soda. Which one means what? So Shabazz-san, tell us, what's kawareru soda? Is this it looks like? What's this one? Yeah, this is the trick with this structure, right? Because even though it's just one mora with this root, it changes it completely. So one of them is what you were just saying. It looks like it's going to break. But then what would the other one have to be? What's the other soul?
So as you hear.
Yeah, you hear. So which one is which?
Kawareru, so that is hearing.
So give the whole translation for this.
I heard it's gonna break.
I heard that it's going to break, right?
And kawareru, so that it looks like it's gonna break.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to break. So make sure that you can do this distinction with other verbals, adjectivals, nominals, etc. So how about I hear it's delicious versus it looks delicious, Lisa. So tell us which one you're doing. Joe.
I hear it's delicious. Oishii is
Mm-hmm.
delicious.
Right, or soul. You still put a des after that too,
Oh,
still,
okay.
because it comes in, right? That's correct. And so how about something like, I hear that that person is well, genki. I hear that that person is genki versus they look genki.
They look Genki as a Genki soul, and I hear they're Genki da soul.
Right. Make sense for everybody? So this is a small, distinction that's so important. Okay, so that's multiple choice. All the multiple choice are about so, rashi, nitai, yo. And I tried to make them as clear as I could, so I didn't ask about, minutia. But the kind of big points that we just hit in that discussion. Okay, next section, section 2. This is where I give you a grammar form in parentheses with a word that I want you to apply it to. So it'll be like this. Here's the sentence that it's going to go into, and here's the blank. And then you gotta figure out how to put, in this case, kangaeru, and here's the form, zu. So, Chen-san, would you give this one a try? Look at it for a second, try to figure out what's going on here. Kangaeru wa nan desu ka? Arubato-san, wakarimasu ka? What's kangaeru? Shao-san?
Think,
Yeah,
consider. I would.
Yeah.
Think is more like almost. So, kangaeru is consider.
Well, it's hard to nail down kangairu versus omo to one or the other, but you're right, yes. Kangairu is to think in the analytical sense,
Yeah.
right? I'm surprised you didn't know that just from the character, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
can guess what something confirm.
Okay, good. So, you need to put this zoo structure onto kangairu. What are you going to do? All right, let's come back to you, give you a second to think about this. Every-san?
考えず、
Right, because it's,
考
sorry?
えず、
Well, that's not all we have to do, but that's the first part, right? So, in applying zoo to kangairu, that's what we get. Kangai-zu. Now, we need to fit it in the sentence. So, go ahead. Start with reading up here. A little more acting would be great. Oh, Tanaka-kun, gomen. So close. Kangai-zu. The manner in which you did it was without thinking. How do you say to write something prettily, to write it neatly? Yeah, right? Like kirei ni kaku in this case. Right, can you translate the whole thing? Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This thing
Yeah.
is totally wrong.
Yeah, totally wrong, totally wrong.
It's totally wrong, and I thought.
Well, what is the meaning of kangai-zu?
This I thought.
Lisa, help us out. Kangai-zu. Right. Because remember, this is a negative. So what did this person do without thinking? Yeah, I wrote it without thinking. That's right, that's right. And so, of course, it'll be different on the final itself. How about omo? Use the same form. Omo. Omoazuni, right. And it wouldn't fit in the same sentence, but nomu.
飲まず、
Mm-hmm.
飲まずに、
Nomazuni. Hi. Kau.
かず、かわず。
Kawazu. Same as omo, right? Omoazu, kawazu. How about taberu? Tabezu. That's right, because it's a vowel word, right? Okay, so that's what's going on here, right? So, the next one. I gave you this sentence, and here's the pieces that I gave you. So the order might not be, right? In this case, zu goes on to kangairu. The order might be different, right? And so we got hito and mitai. And I think Gobara Krishna-san wants to do it. Huh. Yeah, I made it interesting. So what's it mean?
People like you are trash.
Yeah, people like you are trash. Yeah. Anata mitai na hito. That's the key point, right? Those are the connecting pieces.
But it's okay though, because that person's not trash. It's just people like him are trash.
It implies that that person is trash.
I'm curious, can you say like anata mitai ni hito? Can it be a ni after the mitai?
No. I mean, grammatically, it would have some different meaning.
Yeah.
Anata mitai ni hito wa komi. That would be something like all people are garbage in the same way that you are garbage.
Oh my
That one's
god.
So it actually, it's possible.
Oh, I get it.
Like
Yeah.
if you were making some grandiose statement that people are just innately bad, right? We've already established that you are bad.
Okay.
And anatomy time, hito wa, I'd probably add minna, gomida.
I think in like this distinction is clearer with the isha ni naritai.
Mhm.
Anta mitai ni isha ni narita, anta mitai na isha ni narita. Like
That's
he
right.
would, yeah, you explained it.
Do you remember that example?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I used a slightly different example.
Like I
It was
want to become a human thing.
Yeah, I was doing I want to become a human, but that isha works a little better, right? I want to become a doctor like you, anata mitai na isha, right? Versus, I want to become a doctor the way that you did, anata mitai ni isha mitai.
It's actually the difference between like the adjective and adverb, right? If it is a ni, it's more like an adverb, and then it is.
Why?
Well, we don't use those terms for JSL.
I know, but I'm just thinking of like a general.
Yeah, that's what's going on. It's a manner expression
Yeah.
versus comparison. Anata mitai na, people like
Fun.
Okay, let's try number 3 here. And so you've got the verbals, I didn't put the rating on it, but yameru, right, yameru, and yo. Stanza, what are you doing this?
Irony.
Alright, 健康のためにタバコをやめるようにしている。
That's right. And meaning?
For the sake of my health, I guess like literally it's like I'm acting like I'm quitting, but like I'm trying to quit smoking.
Yeah, that's fine. That would be a fine translation. I'm trying to quit smoking. There's lots of ways that trying could be rendered into Japanese, but that's what's going on, right? Literally, I'm acting in such a way as to bring about my quitting smoking. Okay, here's some examples of the translation, but let's do temo and tewa first. Knowing which one you've got to use. So starting with permission, you may go, you may wait here, you may ask anything. Let's start with Taraza-san. There you go. You may wait here, Shirao-san. So you may ask anything.
何も切ってもいいです。
Yeah, non-demo.
何でも。
Okay, and then how about this? You don't have to go. You don't have to wait. You don't have to say. Lisa. That's right. You don't have to wait here. How about some?
ここ
I think you're making it harder on yourself than it needs to be. Just let's do one more. You don't have to go was what? Right. So this is ikanakutemo. So what's if you forget about the here part, just so you don't have to wait, repeat. Close. Mata. Mata nakutemo ii. And then here, like at this location. Koko de. Right, because doing an activity at a place. So the whole thing? Mata nakutemo ii. You don't have to say anything. Chenza? You don't have to say anything. No. Well, hanasu refers to speaking as in conversing. Say is like saying a specific thing. The other verbal. You. So nanimo. Yep. help, let's go to Xiaosan.
何も言わなくてもいい。
Iwanakuten.
And I actually have a question about like the anything. Like why the anything is not nanika? Why is it?
So nanika is something.
Yeah. Okay, what is the difference between something and anything?
So, nanika iwanakute mo ii desu. You don't have to say something. Nanika iwanakute mo ii desu.
Nobody says that.
Does that have the same implications of what in English where it's like you don't have to talk?
And why in the in the first square there you said like non-demo. It should both of them be non-demo, right?
So,
You cannot be non-demo.
I mean, this is just one of the kind of quirks of English that's going to restrict our usage, I think. But when we say non-demo,
Yeah.
it's like if we imagine a world in which we've got all these different phrases and things that we might likely ask. We've got like a whole spreadsheet of them or something. And when we say non-demo, we mean any one of these things is what's going on there. So itsu demo, at any time.
Okay.
Versus we talk about itsumo, which is all times.
Okay.
Right? So, itsumo ii desu. It's always good.
Yeah.
Itsu demo ii desu. It's good at any individual time, any one time that you pick.
So like at a day, you're like more specific on one point of the time.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
But, I mean, when we say you don't have to say anything, what we're really saying is what would be thought of in Japanese as it's okay for you to say nothing. That's what's going on here, right? So if I put it's okay for you to say nothing, that would be a little bit closer to the Japanese, right? Because nanimo is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So nanimo iwanakute mo ii desu. It's okay, even if you say nothing.
Okay.
How about you have to go to school. Emphasize.
学校へ行かなくちゃはいけません。
Except that ikanakucha already has the y in it.
You're right, it does. 行かなくちゃいけません。お学校へ行かなくちゃいけません。
Yeah, yeah. Or what else instead of ikemasen we can use?
ダメです。
Dame desu or
No.
narimasen, naranai. You may not go to the party. Stop.
パーティーへなくなっちゃう。No, that's not right.
Well, you didn't get the verbal in there.
Oh, 行かなくなっちゃう。
That would be
There's
like,
nothing negative, right?
what do we think? You may not go to the party.
Well, はい、パーティーへ行ってはいけません。
That's right. That's right. Does it make sense, or is you And so, literally, you going to the party at least won't do, right? And so, by the same token, you may not drink. Terasa-san. Yeah, that's right. Nonja ikenai. Nonde wa ikenai. And so if you go to the party, it will be a problem. Shawa-san? Mondai. I was thinking komaru. Yeah.
So who?
What? Yeah. Well, there's an interesting example coming up. But go ahead, Shawa.
Okay. So you may not like. Why you say you may go? Like you will say ite mo ii, but like why does may not go? It will become ja.
So ite mo ii. Think about what it literally is. Ite mo ii is even if you go, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you wait here, it's okay. That's the set form for granting permission.
Yeah.
And then when we deny permission, what we say is basically the situation in which you go, ite wa, right? Which you can think of in JSL terms as you going at least, right? Itte wa, you going at least. Narimasen, ikemasen.
Is it?
Dameda, komarimasu.
But I've memorized it as like a prohibition, like when you say like job, like a affirmative job. You cannot. I memorize it as like a prohibition.
Yeah, this is prohibition.
You may not. It sounds like very like gentle to me. But it sounds like prohibition.
Yeah, there's other structures in English that would work here too, right? But it's kind of the opposite. That's why I went with may. It's because it's opposite of permission, right? You may go is granting permission. You may not is denying permission.
So it's a prohibition.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same as you can't in the sense of I'm not allowing you to.
Okay.
Right?
So my mind is much more set than I think.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't tell her that you love her, she is going to leave.
Oh.
Where are we? Gobara Krishna-san?
愛してるって言わなくては乗せるよ。
Okay. Put on a car.
Kidnapping. What is that?
I'm going to keep that part.
I meant 残る。Leave.
That's the. I see why you came up with that, but that's actually the opposite because nokoru is like leave in the sense of leave behind. Yeah.
Wait, 行く。
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was. Or
愛
Daniel,
してるって
right?
言わなくては行くよ。
Ikuyo.
She's gonna 行く。
It's definitely going to be counter to your
捨
original.
てられるよ。
Yeah, so that's another thing I was thinking of too. But you guys don't have passive voice yet. But I was going to say, Gobara Krishna-san, this is absolutely going to be like a regrettable or unfortunate.
ってしまうか。
Yeah, so you're going to want Teshimago, right? And also, Japanese people for love, aishiteru is a little bit rare. So yeah, ski. Ski dato, iwanakucha, ichao yo.
行っちゃうかな。
Of course, there's lots of other ways to say like to dump somebody, but they require some more grammar
I
that we
would
don't have.
reject.
Ski just doesn't sound super like romantic. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's
That's
the
pretty
thing.
Ski is so romantic.
A little bit.
Well,
Ski is like the highest
They
level.
use ski.
That's
I
because we
like
think of
about it.
ski as the word like,
Yeah.
right, in English. But if you watch movies and stuff, when there's the kokuhaku moment,
Yeah.
the confession,
See?
right? Yeah, they'll say
Ski da.
ski, yeah, and it'll be subtitled as "I love you."
But you can ski ice cream the same way you can
Yeah.
ski a woman. It's
Yeah,
just-
man.
Yes, I think the ice
You
cream
love ice
just
cream?
has a much stronger
But-
implication than our casual usage of love does, because it's got like the I cannot live without you feeling to it, does it not?
Well, it's all about context. I mean, can't you? Don't you say you love ice cream if you really like it?
I guess.
Yeah.
So in
I'm more of a, I like ice cream. I don't
so in other words,
really
in English, we really use love quite broadly.
Yeah.
Right?
Really
Uh,
We are filled with the love.
Like people who don't know be like, I love you.
I guess
What?
here a little bit, like first time, like.
Me too.
Yeah,
Personally, I love my electronic dictionary.
Hi.
and people are like, what?
But anyway, this is just a little bit of trivia that, you know, especially stuff like, I don't think Japanese people do this where they hang up the phone and say, I love you.
They don't do that. They just be like, take care. Or
Sometimes you don't even like, they just, you're done with the conversation, you say the last sentence, and then boom.
People
No, just like, alright, goodbye.
They're not like emotional.
元気にして
They're like not as touchy as Americans are.
電話待ってるよ
Like, you know,
That's totally the same as
They
I
don't
love
really
you.
hug.
and American people also use hate much more than like other people.
Okay, and Tobias, I think you got the idea between Kewa and Kemo. There's some more examples of it in your handout here, so you can practice that on your own time. But let's start working on some of the translation problems. So, starting with number one with Deborah Miller up here. Arumaru-san, what do you think? Try reading it for us, and we'll figure out.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, and again, acting a little bit like, ah, 男らしい男はいないのか。
You guys should have came to see our play.
Wow, you're
great.
so Arabama-san, what's going on? What is an otoko rashi otoko?
Like, it's like a man's man?
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Other suggestions?
Your typical guy?
A manly man,
Manny
right?
here.
Literally, what is it literally?
Manly.
A man like man.
Yeah, a man like man, a man who exemplifies
you have the
the
English.
qualities that you associate with men,
Man.
right? A man. So, and then the
Going out with the
inai no ka. Inai no ka. Just inai ka. It's just imasen. It's imasen. So a rhetorical question. So if it were an inanimate object, it would be arimasen, right? Arimasen no ka. As in like, is there no da 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 da, right? This is of course the extended predicate, right, that we know, but and so, are there no manly men, right? No men who are otoko rashi. They just imasen, right? They don't exist. Is what she's asking. And so okay, number 2. This car is so nice, it's like a dream. So which structure are we going to use for it's like a dream? Lisa. You may. And if we were to use another structure instead of mitai, Shao-san, what would it be?
Yo.
Which would be
You may know your
sure, that's fine. Is it? And so, okay, now there's definitely going to be one of these. Remember the CC where it was like the landlord or something was making a face that looked like he wanted to decide right away. Remember that one? And so, how does that go, Stan-san?
Was it
Making a face.
happy made day or how did it connect? Mitai day.
You're looking right at it.
Oh, so
Hayaku kime,
kimeru so
he wants to.
kimetai so
Oh.
Yeah, he made-
Totally thought that was
Top.
projective.
so
Hi, one more time.
はい早く決めたそうに or
No.
the
No.
So it's the face that he's making. It's all modifying the
Okay,
face.
so はい早く決めたそうな顔をしている
Well, it was in the past. He was making the face.
してい
Ita.
た I didn't know
So-
if it was director.
I'm going to give you some variation on that phrase, right? Hi, question?
Is there a particle between cow and shiteka?
Oh, yeah. So let's try some variations, right? So Tanaka was making a face that looked like he wanted to go to. We could make it ishoni, in this case. He wanted to go with us. So Shaba-san? So take that same structure we just did, hayaku kimeta sou na kao wo shita, and make it, he was making a face that looked like he wanted to go with. Ikita. Well, so that's why I said make it ishoni, because if it's Tanaka-san mo,
Okay.
there's someone else making the same face too. That's right, that's right. And how about just having thought about it, Suzuki-san was making a face that looked like it was gross.
考えただけで、気持ちが悪そうな顔をしてた。
So 気持ちが悪そうな顔をしてた or 気持ちが waruku. That's why I asked me. I think waruso. Yeah, naruso doesn't really work. Okay, and so and then all the rest are marked with these. Yeah, in this case, they're ditto marks. But so he was making a face that is what you got to put in for all of them, right? He was making a face that looked like he could do it right away. Go back to something.
すぐできそうな顔してた。
Was making a face like she didn't like him. And Lisa. Yeah, but you don't need this just having thought about it. That was all for this one. Just, she was making a face.
Oh, wait, so she was? Oh, female.
Whoever, the subject is not being stated. So kare, not ni, but kare blank ski janai. What part? Kare ga ski ja. Yeah, ski janai, but how do we add soul to that? Yeah, one more time. Kare. Ski ja nasa so na kao.
Can you put O there too? 彼を好きじゃない。
So typically ski does not occur with O, only with ga.
Okay.
There's some extremely rare exceptions.
Okay.
And was making a face like she didn't want to go. How about this one? So just start with the sentence, I don't want to go. What would that be? Don't want to go. How do you do I want to go? Ikitai, that's right. Now make that negative. I don't want to go. Ikita. Ikitakunai. Now we've got to take ikitakunai and apply that soul to it. Ikitaku, unfortunately with negatives, there's a special one. Not ikitaku naso, but ikitaku.
Nasaso.
Yeah, that's, so one more time. Nakao o shiteta. Yeah, so think of that as a set phrase, right? They were making that face. And this doesn't refer to just the visual aspect of their face, but it's rather kind of like from their mannerisms and their way of talking and stuff. We're using face in a very broad way. So, ikitaku nasa so. And then here's a couple more for you. John, number 3. It's hard to get used to the sadness of being alone.
Hitting hard and heavy today.
The key point here is, well, I make the review sheet, a little bit creative so that it's more challenging than the actual text. But so first, there's a couple of different pieces here that we can put together. How about starting with, it's hard to get used to. Right? Like if it were just, it's hard to get used to Japan or something. What would we use for it's hard to get used to? No, there's a new verbal for get used to something. Nareru is the verb. And how do we, so take, well, how do you do it's hard to do something?
Would it be nareru kui?
Yeah, except conjugation.
Oh, sorry.
Nareru, naremasu.
So nareru kui?
Narenikui. So that's the hard to get used to part. So whatever wa narenikui. Nihon wa narenikuei. I can't remember what Celsius is offhand.
Wait, isn't like supposed to use
Celsius, I think.
get used to something isn't like ni nareru?
Yeah, X, ni,
Nareru.
is to get used to something.
Okay.
And now, how about sadness?
Sa.
That's right, kanashisa. So the key point here is making a nominal out of the adjectival, right? So, sadness.
Sadness, I just said.
Yeah, one more time.
Kanashisa.
Kanashisa. And with,
Hirosa.
sa, right? Newness, sa. Atarashisa. Bigness, smallness, chisa, the weight or heaviness, omosa. The interestingness, omoshirosa. The fun, tanoshisa. And out of adjective, the oldness, furusa, right. Okay, so, it's hard to get used to just the sadness. We can ignore this part for a second. Hard to get used to the sadness.
悲しさになれにくい。
Kanashisa, not even. It's hard to get used to the sadness. Now, being alone. Did you want to try?
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
All right. Go for it.
頑張って。
Well, first, of being alone, would it just be Jibun Day or Jibun Day?
Yeah, so every song is closer.
Oh, sorry.
一人で。
Hitori Day. Hitori Day.
Hitori de to be.
Iru.
Hitori de iru.
Iru kanashisa. Because it's.
Yeah.
Right. Hitori de iru kanashisa wa kanashiniku.
Wa.
Or, sorry, I looked at the wrong word. Not inikuri.
Not in English. That's right. This is harder than what's on the text. But,
Thank God.
but you do need to know that
Wait, Hirosa's are not nominal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hirosa.
What if
everything that has a sa, shisa-sa, kanashi-sa, tanoshi-sa, omoshiro-sa, those are all nominals.
一人でいるの? Wouldn't you need noted?
Because it's a noun
You can just-
modifying clause.
You just connect the verbal straight to the nominal.
Sentence modifier is what I'm
Did you say
Oh,
Hitori no
okay.
kanashisa? I mean, kanashisa.
That would be just the sadness of one person. Yeah. But, so, hitori de iru kanashisa. But make sure that you know how to put, like, sa onto stuff like the heat of Japan, or the heat of a Japanese summer, right? Or the genki-ness of the kids. And then not in Yakutis.
No, right?
All right, and then everybody, let's try and wrap this up quickly. So, look for, when I'm giving you translation problems, I'll give you contexts like this that specifically trigger the stuff in this worksheet, right? So, when I give you these prompts, that's what I'm trying to get you to remember, right? So, it seems like you won't go, and I give you the context. I don't know exactly, but I haven't done the paperwork yet, so I'm guessing, right? And so which one am I trying to trigger here? Right, so I'm trying to trigger mitai or yol, because that's, I don't know, right? That's the least certain. I don't know exactly. I have this type of evidence. It's not like really authoritative evidence. It's not really like somebody told me directly, but I'm using my own subjective feelings to try and figure it out, even though I'm not very certain. So that's the kind of thing. Versus, Yoshida is thinking about it. She told me so herself in exactly those words. Gokoro Krishna-san.
吉田さんが思っているそうです。
Yeah, except if you're thinking about something, you're probably
考えているそうです。
Yeah. The width of the apartment is good, but it is far from station shabasa. No, there's no apparently here or anything. Yeah, it's just ekikara toi. Indeed. Okay, and then I have significantly more things here. Let's see. What about, how about this one? Ways of speaking, or the way of writing this kanji, for example. Can you figure out what we're trying to trigger here, Kanaza-san? Way of speaking. Hanashikata. How about way of writing a kanji, Chen-san? Kanji, would it be kanji no? So, Kanaza-san, one more time, what was way of speaking? So, hanashikata. What's kakimasu in Gaosho? Kakikata. That's right, kakikata. How about, sorry?
You can also use kakio.
Kakiyo.
Kakiyo.
Kakiyo, yeah. So that's acceptable but not common.
Oh, that's an uncommon way.
Yeah, it's kind of old sounding to say that. It's more used for those phrases like shioganai.
Oh, okay.
Right. Or wakari yo ganai. There's no way of understanding. So that's kind of a set. But it is
much more common then?
yeah, the kata is the common way. Kaki kata and hanashikata. How about the way of memorizing this? The way of memorizing.
Oboekata?
Oboe kata, right. How about the way of eating sushi? Sushi no tabekata. And what if we were to add, it's different from place to place or person to person? So the way of eating sushi, it depends on the person. Kobayashi-san?
寿司の食べ方は人によって違います。
人によって違います。How about the way of speaking, like even in Japan, the way of speaking is different from place to place.
Japan にも東京にも
Japan?
Sorry 日本にも日本にも東京によって違います話し方は
I didn't even know this.
Well, I rearranged the sentence.
おすみません
And I would go with 日本でも。
お日本でも話し方はところによって違います
そうですね。We're good. And then I think the rest is pretty simple. When you see this, shall we drink a cup of tea or something? Tanaka or someone can do it. Go to Hokkaido or somewhere. The form we're looking for is yeah, demo, right? Like, shall we drink a cup of tea or something? Would be what, Isan? Ocha demo. Remember listing with she. I talked about this last time, so I don't think we need to mention it. But I do want you to, if I give you a sentence like this in Japanese, make sure that you put something in English to let me know that the she is not just and. Like trailing off is okay. I'm tired and I don't understand economics. But I like and so on or etc. or something. Something that explicitly shows me that she means listing additional reasons would be possible. And last thing, 分かってくる、疲れてくる、お腹が空いてくる、晴れてくる. What do all of these mean? Arabato?
Like the first one is, like come to understanding.
Right, come to understand, right? Literally, you come to the point of understanding, which is another way of saying, yeah, you start to understand it. So, how about skare te kuru? What would that be? Shaba-san? Yeah, you start to get tired, etc. Okay, so all this is on Carmen. If you missed any of the fact handouts or lost any of your fact handouts, I've also posted all of them on Carmen for the 22A through 24B, so that's up there. This sheet, in case you lost it, this is also on Carmen. And I put one more thing up there that I thought would interest you guys. Do you remember the dictionary of Japanese grammar that I brought in? So I took the, this is an old handout that I made last year, so it's got some kotowaza at the top.
Yeah.
But I took the entry in that Japanese grammar dictionary that's about mitai, and I translated the explanation about it. So this is the explanation that is given in that grammar dictionary. And then I put their example sentences here. So, along with some notes occasionally. But I didn't bother translating the example sentences because I think Alex can handle that. Yeah, I know. We have 5 minutes though.
Oh.
I mean, we're technically over, but I just wanted to show you this because I thought you guys would be interested in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the explanation for mitai. And then finally, also, I happened to be reading a novel at the time when I made this handout. So I just took the grammar from 24A, and I thought, I wonder how many pages I have to read before I hit each grammar point that we're learning, you know, in the novel that I'm reading. So I took the examples of like koto ni naru, koto ni suru, etc. That appeared in this novel, and I just put them here with some translations because I thought it was so interesting that, you know, the stuff you guys are doing right now is so common. It just appears everywhere. So there were lots of really good, interesting examples about it. Anyway, you can look at this if you have some time. It's just for your interest. But please use the review sheet. Use the guidelines for So, Rashi, and Yo, etc. And email me if you have any questions. お疲れ様です。
ありがとうございました。
ラストでしたね。
最後。
明日は
楽しかったですよ。
Sorry.
Sorry?